Welcome back to the Legroom Podcast. We got a special guest today, Jacob.
Hey guys.
Once again, I'm Owen.
And I'm Mark.
Okay. And special episode, we're going to be talking about some aliens.
It's the alien episode. Very jam-packed. We have notes.
I have notes. The other two do not.
Jacob has notes.
Mark
I have a
made
Prezi.
a presentation.
A Prezi, not a presentation. A Prezi. We are back in middle school, ladies and boys.
I prepped really hard for this.
All right. I'm sure the Prezi is immaculate, but that's like I remember like the girls I went to school with, they always had bomb Prezis.
I did too. And I was not.
That's what I said.
Guys also had bomb
That's
Prezis.
okay.
Yeah.
So I figured we just, I don't know, get into it. Why don't you pull up the Prezi on the pod? Let's
Pull up the receipts.
Yeah, I think while he's pulling up the Prezi, which he already did.
it would take forever.
See, he's worth every cent you guys pay him.
Yeah, let it marinate. It's kind of blocked out, but
yeah.
Well, it's gonna be blocked out, so we can
maybe
we
move
can
Yeah,
on.
this is a
discuss.
good
There you go.
tease. You can look at that if you're watching,
Yeah.
if you're listening.
really.
That sucks.
Yeah.
But before we get into this, I think we should just make a basis. What's everyone's thoughts on aliens? Are they real? Before we go
That's a good idea.
into some of the more detailed, just
So
To see if
simple,
anyone's-
yes, no, maybe.
yes, no, maybe. You can give a
Simple, Owen.
yeah.
You
Maybe
just
a little summary.
Yeah.
A little,
I mean,
a little
okay.
insert.
All right. Your boy show.
you go first, Mark.
I go first?
Yeah.
Well, obvious answer is yes. If I have this Prezi up here, I've actually had, and I have a video of it, which I considered putting up on the pod today. We still can do it. I have it like loaded on my Google Photos. But I had an incident where I saw a UFO back in like 8th grade. I was outside my house. It was like, I think 10 o'clock or something. And I saw it. It was like probably, I don't know, just like above the tree line. And I saw this thing. It's like a bright light, and then it zoomed away. And I recorded it, but at the time, phones weren't that good, so the camera quality was like terrible. But
That's how it always is.
I know, it is. But I do have it on camera. I am very shocked in the video, and my voice is terrible because I sound like an 8th grader. But yeah, so I've had experiences with it, and I believe overall, the universe is so massive. Why would we be the only ones? So
The teacher over here is grading you.
Yeah. I just got done doing Bio 1 today. Did not study it, by the way, so I pity them. But yeah, I'm just taking notes on you, sir.
you could take notes on me. Why
Yeah.
don't someone else?
I think the vastness of the universe, aliens, I mean, chances are they exist. Have they been on our planet? That's a harder one to say. There's a lot of good points showing that they could have been, or that they still are. But I think aliens are real. What extent have we interacted with them? That's sort of where it gets muddy.
Very, very
Yeah.
short and simple. I like it. All right, Jacob, what's your take?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
We got it.
Anthony, why don't you try and give
Anthony,
us your thing?
Are aliens real?
I would say they're probably real.
Okay.
I mean, there's more of a chance that they're real than they're
Mhm.
not real.
logically, yeah.
But
But then the question is, so anything that's an alien, which we'll get into this later, but like, you can go from a microbial organism that's a single cell life to what we are. Like all of those are classified as aliens because it's anything that's not from this, like extraterrestrial, not from Earth, not from Terra. So it's like, it could be something like us, or it could be a fungi or a bacteria.
And it could be just a random tree.
Well, even a tree's in,
Yeah.
like soup, like it very complicated compared
yeah.
to.
Plants are very complex organisms.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we all agree then
Yeah,
that there's something.
I think Mark's got his presentation now.
All right, yeah. For all those that have been, I guess we changed the screen. Okay, so let me just preface by saying I have been to Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, earlier this year.
Can we have a geography lesson first, though? Where is Kecksburg?
Kecksburg is located about like an hour southeast of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So like, a few hours from us.
Gotcha.
But it's a little small town. Actually, like super small. I don't even think there's a gas station in the town. It's like tiny. But yeah, that's really it. We'll get more into it. I'll explain more of the geographical location when we get into the Prezi here. Okay, so
Do you want me to go into it?
why don't we go to the first slide? So on December 9th, 1965. Okay. Thinking cap on. Everyone put their thinking cap on. I have mine on. I have the Bigfoot hat on today. But all right, put it on.
I left mine at home, boys.
That title was made by AI. Other than the question mark. So okay.
Thinking cap on.
So the
Do we put it-
ellipses were part of it.
Yeah, the AI made that part.
I like how you left the space in after the ellipses.
I don't know if there's a.
I'm pretty sure.
I think
I'll bet $1.
All right. I don't want to read everything. I'm just I want to go over, I don't know, just summarize it, because reading off of this is like too much. But basically, the night of December 9th, 1965, there was a fireball, quote unquote, reported over 6 U.S. states and then part of Canada. And where that fireball ended up was Kecksburg, Pennsylvania. So the picture, for those that I have video on, it was a acorn-shaped UFO. And some people said there was hieroglyphs on it, which is what you can see in the picture. There's like little, I don't know, etches on it. I actually have a photo when I went there right underneath this. It's like a little statue thing that they have. Okay, I think that's pretty good for this slide.
So that's a recreation.
That's the recreation of what people saw that night. I actually met before we go into this next one. I met people that actually. There's this gift shop right near that UFO thing that they had, the recreation of it. There's this bar, and we went in the bar because there's a gift shop in the bar, and I met a guy whose dad was playing baseball that same night this UFO crashed right in the town of Kecksburg, and he was saying that his dad saw it, and that I guess this kind of ties into this next slide, but the military basically arrived like ASAP when this thing happened, and there was one guy in particular in the town that was trying to say that there was a UFO, like an alien inside this ship. Some people were calling it a ship, but this one guy in town was like really adamant about it. But I guess he kind of got paid off for what, like, hushed up by the government to keep quiet about it, which is what this weird stuff slide is about. So next slide.
Did AI come up with this one too?
I came up with this picture.
You made this picture?
I made this picture on Midjourney.
So AI did come up with it.
Yes, but it's
Yeah.
not tied. I didn't make it for the Prezi at all. This is just for
What
my
did you make
YouTube-
it for?
I make YouTube shorts, making AI content, and I just looked at my computer folders. It was like, what can I throw in the Prezi? But yeah, basically all this slide is the military showed up and they retrieved something from the site. So that's literally it. And they tried to cover it up. That's all this slide is. Weird stuff. Some smiley face. All right, next slide. We're gonna get into it. The conspiracy. You could play the little. This is also AI. It might play. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so initially, all right. Let's see. I didn't read this one. Oh yeah, some people speculated AI had a lot to do.
You did not read your own.
AI
I
had
brought-
a lot to do with this.
I brought
Came
notes.
so prepared. You
So-
were like,
He
I
was
made a
so
Prezi.
prepared. He
You're like,
asked.
better be ready.
I've had kids like you where like they steal their buddy's presentation and then go up and look at it and be like, oh, those
No,
are the words I totally put on that presentation.
After going there, I did read about this because I was really into this whole thing, you know, because there was like people there that I talked to, so it was like really cool. Anyway, yeah, so there was some speculation that this thing that crashed could have been a Soviet satellite, but that was never confirmed, which is just, I don't know if you call it a conspiracy, but it's just one of the claims. And then I guess over the years, it says that some believe it was a craft, which I mentioned, and that, I guess some people call it the Roswell of Pennsylvania, which I didn't know until I looked this up.
So not many people must call it that then.
I mean, it's out there. It's ChatGPT says so.
It seems like every UFO sighting is some places Roswell.
That makes sense. But the big thing is that's really cool, which I didn't know until also researching, is that not only did Kecksburg people see this, but like so many other states and part of Canada the same night, which is pretty crazy. So, anyways, next slide. There's more conspiracy. This is just part one of the conspiracy theory thing. This is my AI video right there. I didn't want it to be a whole slide, but it is. So we can change that now. Next slide.
Let's play that one more time.
You
It looks
put all
like-
the effort into telling the computer
Hold
to
on.
make it. You get to watch it.
Stay on there real quick, Anthony. Replay that one more time. Because does that not look like someone is just in a ghost from Halo?
Yes.
But they're for some reason flying like a banshee.
Well, I mean, if you get the jump good,
Yeah, you
while
get
you kick them off.
They hit a good ramp.
Yeah, exactly. Or get into one of those gravity cannons.
Yeah.
You can send it.
So this is also
Why is the car in the tunnel not moving
it's,
at all?
it's because they saw it and they're parked
broke
looking
down.
at it.
What are the lights down behind the guardrail?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
there's
literally
another
didn't see
tunnel.
that.
No. That's the elite that Master Chief kicked off. That's the energy sword.
I didn't.
Or the
You're
plasma
pointing
rifle.
stuff out that I didn't know was there.
You made this.
I made this like months ago because I was trying to recreate something else. But okay, I love that we played it 5
Yeah,
times.
the chip.
Can I have
click
that one more?
UFO.
Oh, never mind. For the record.
Okay, hang on, which is also AI generated. It said hang on like every slide. I had to get rid of it. Okay. NASA got in on this. So in 2005, they admitted they studied this crash site. And there was, like, they did study it, but it ended up, all this stuff that they did got destroyed from the investigation. And then people tried to get this information from the Freedom of Information Act, but it's all gone. None of the stuff that NASA did when they were there is here. So it's kind of weird that they would just destroy this information. Pretty quick slide. Next one. This might be the last one. Oh, okay. Jacob might be able to talk about this a little bit, which I saw this ChatGPT today. So don't. Actually, Jacob, why don't you kick this one off? Why don't you just kind of read over this? Do you know anything about the bell?
No, but I usually don't go into conspiracy theories.
Okay,
So
well,
I do understand that. All right, I can give you some historical background.
Why don't you?
So there is this whole thing with the Third Reich and the industrialization of Germany, especially after the defeat in the First World War. And this was like a Hitler thing and a Nazism thing, but also like a militant German thing that you're surrounded. You have enemies on all sides. Like during the First World War, you had the Entente, you had the Russian Empire to the east, French to the west, and then Britain across the Channel. So there was this worry of being outnumbered, like physically, especially with the Russians. You know, most of the times, whenever the Germans would fight the Russians, they would be at a numerical disadvantage, which perpetuate into the 30s to an intense mechanization of the combat arm of the German army, which was like increasing the amount of tanks, the amount of trucks to transport the troops. The rest of the army was still outmoded, you could call it, where like they had a lot of supplies actually drawn by horses. But this is this whole thing of, it's also in pop culture now called like Wunderwaffen, or like wondrous weapons, or super weapons is like a common translation for it, that were supposed to win the war for Germany. And I guess die Glocke, wow, I can't enunciate today.
Die
Um,
Glocke?
Yeah, so Bell is feminine in German. I found that out.
Today?
Yeah, because it says
Wow.
D. I don't talk about bells much in my daily life.
Maybe you
in
should more.
German. Yeah, the beauty of technology is I don't need a bell anymore. I
Is
just have
it
no
the
word.
E also that makes it feminine? Because I know D obviously is like
No, if anything, to me, it's either there, or if I didn't know the word, that could also hint that it was plural. So
Okay.
it could be like der Gedak, die Gedake, but obviously in this case, it just means the bell singular.
All right, we
which
got in the weeds with
you very
pronunciation.
much
Well,
got into the weeds.
This is
there.
a very off topic, but it's to do with gender and words.
Mhm.
French word for vagina is masculine. Why? I don't know.
Huh.
Maybe the French.
Maybe they're a little sexist. I
Maybe
don't know.
yeah, maybe they are. Even though it's like the language of love, right?
Yeah. But why would a feminine organ be,
Masculine.
masculine?
I don't think a guy would want that anyway. He doesn't. Why would anyone? Many dudes care?
I would imagine it's some like 700 years ago, some sexist thing that then now it's just been the writing laws.
So I'm not going that deep, but Latin, I can't remember
up.
what the actual vagina is. It does have a Latin root to it, and it originally, to my knowledge, meant scabbard for a sword. So like something to store the sword in. So that's
Oh,
where
wow.
it originally came from.
That
So that would make sense.
That's
That would have that
crazy.
masculine gender because it was associated with war, that then got translated probably either through church, either through like ecclesiastical Latin, or maybe during the Reformation when we were doing a lot with anatomy and physiology.
So then maybe
Sorry,
maybe
Renaissance,
not, so
not
much-
Reformation.
Maybe girls don't want that word then. Do they want to
Yeah.
maybe get their own word if it's like a to sheathe their sword?
If that's actually like where the Latin word comes from.
Wow.
I mean, they must have had a word before that, though.
Yeah. Who knows though?
Yeah. Well, that's an issue you'll have in a lot of languages, is you'll have different groups intersecting. Now we've gone completely off of
Yeah, we're
aliens
going
into,
through
into language. But like I'll do this real quick. So we have in English you have a bunch of words for the same thing. Like let's see here. Like beef and cow.
Yeah.
Beef is from French because you had the French nobility ruling over the English commoner after the Norman conquest. So you'll have that. But anyways,
Yeah.
let's go back to
Yeah, we can
aliens.
go back to
Oh, okay.
aliens.
All right.
We're on the
Actually,
ne-
sorry. Back to Nazis. Are we on aliens now?
Well, okay. I remember
What was your
the last
Glocke thing?
the
Hold on.
last slide is an anti-gravity device that people speculate was
In orbit.
in
And
I guess in
fell out.
orbit.
Well,
So
okay. So in their defense, Nazi Germany was the first nation to send something to orbit. The V2, not the V1, but the V2 rockets did actually have a suborbital. What's the word? Not. They had. Oh God, what's the word? Anyways, they had an orbit, like they had a trajectory where it went outside of Earth's atmosphere, and they actually took pictures, because they were launching rockets at the United Kingdom.
do you know when this was launched?
That it was in the 40s, like because the beginning of our space program was actually using V2 rockets.
Yeah, because we took all the German.
Not all
scientists.
of them. The
Well,
Russians
oh,
got some of
yeah.
them too.
good
But
amount.
yeah, I think it was like 44, 45. Not 45. That would have been so
Oh, so
maybe
it
43, 44.
probably won't. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
that's a whole other.
Yeah, it's like 20 years.
That's a whole other rabbit hole to
Wow.
get into. But
yeah.
So that's all that was. I'm glad I put that slide up. It had some good discussion there. Another conspiracy was Project Moondust. Speculates that the U.S. government activated Project Moondust for the incident in Kecksburg. I guess it's a way of classifying recovered space debris, and this is like, I guess, one of the first incidents that they created this thing. Um, That's
Now,
and then you could play
is this actually primary video, because this looks like Scooby Doo?
Well, no. So this is actually from the crash site, recovered, as you can see.
This is found footage.
Yeah, this was first time anyone's actually seeing this since the incident. Yeah, you could barely see it, but if you look closely, there's that UFO again from.
This looks like something you'd see in line for disaster transport.
Oh, I miss disaster transport so much.
So yeah, that's. I don't think you can get a full screen there, but if you want to play it. Okay, and that's all I have for that. I have the shirt on. I don't really know how to show people it, but I don't know.
The camera's right there.
It's not. Oh, is it going yet? Okay. I'll just stand up and show the folks that I have been to Kecksburg. This isn't like a whole bit.
Everyone's
doing.
calling you liars right now.
Mark's proudly been to Cuxburg.
You did not hear him, did you?
Oh, I heard it.
Oh.
I heard it. Everyone could make their own speculation.
Sorry, it was too easy of a layup.
I did mispronounce it. It is spelled Cuxburg.
Well, I did a little bit of research myself. I do not have a presentation.
It's okay.
I mean, would you really call yours a presentation?
Yeah.
AI did it.
I mean, to be fair,
AI did most of the work. But I did present it.
I don't know if this was like earlier. I'm going to cut you off now. We were talking about, like, I remember like middle school girls like made Prezis. And this is definitely middle school.
Oh, by the way,
so like you did good.
Can we pull up the Prezi one more time? I just want to say this background, this Shrek background, AI created this.
Okay, I'll be honest. Until you said that, I didn't even realize the Shrek was there.
Why?
There was 3 backgrounds to choose from, and Shrek was one of them.
Because the thing is, there's the words,
there's
and
the
then
dots. So I thought it was like the cosmos.
I thought it was like solar system, and then he said the Shrek background, and then all of a sudden Shrek just appeared there. He was not there this whole time.
Illusion.
Shrek is God.
Shrek is love.
Shrek is life.
Shrek is life.
And I don't know how I came up with wanting to do that, because all I did when you're on the Prezi thing and it's like, have AI make your thing, I took the first paragraph of the wiki of the Kecksburg incident and I copied and pasted
no
it,
sponsorships.
and then it no sponsors, and it made one of these backgrounds.
Oh, please.
I don't know how I did it.
Yeah, I'm glad Jacob also didn't realize Shrek was there.
No, because I was just looking at Kecksburg.
Yeah.
I chose to stick with it.
I was completely wrapped up in the beautiful storytelling of Mark telling us how AI made this presentation for him. And he's like, oh, I didn't know these words were in the
This presentation for a place that he's gone to.
Supposedly.
This is how advanced
Allegedly.
presentations will go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I looked into Brazil's Roswell.
Ooh, okay.
The name of the town,
Virginia.
Virginia. Not the other one. Virginia. And
It's Portuguese, so you're probably saying it wrong anyways, but continue.
UFO crashed. Some Fisher saw it. It's like, okay, I'm gonna check it out. He goes looks at the crash site. No one's there. And then the military shows up, tells him to leave and not talk about it. Then at the same time, some a group of 3 girls stumble across a brownish red, small, greasy thing with red eyes. And then they run away. Then a soldier catches the red thing, takes to a hospital, and then he dies like 5 days later from unknown toxins.
I think I heard about this. Was this like in modern
He-
times?
there was
Like
just a documentary.
late
of it.
90s, yeah.
Yeah, I did watch the doc on this. Yeah.
And then it's taken to another military base and a hospital. Half the hospital's closed down. Just coincidentally. And another soldier goes in to grab the body, and he touches it. He also dies like a week later from unknown toxins. And then it's on a military base in Brazil. It's there for a few days. There's like the entire Brazilian military is pretty much in this town, and they're saying it's just for normal exercises.
There we go.
But then someone that works on the base, they said an unauthorized plane was trying to land, and their bosses told them just to let it land, and it was the U.S. Air Force. They loaded some stuff on it, and then it left, and then all the military went away.
Yeah, I think in the doc I think there was like a video of those. No, there's an interview of the women being interviewed of what they saw. I don't know if there's a video of the creature, but they did explain that they all three saw the creature,
Saw it.
and it was like running. I think.
Yeah, it was like brown, red,
Yeah.
and then people caught it.
Yeah.
Like military personnel caught it. Yeah, so just a really weird one that.
Yeah, and I think even it wasn't just like the three women. I think there was other people that saw this because
There-
it was like kind of running through the town.
Well,
when
and that's the
after it
thing is,
crashed.
it crashed. They went to look for it, and then the aliens were already, supposed aliens,
Yeah.
were already in the town, like a ways away from where it crashed.
Ooh, the famous picture. I remember seeing. Yes.
Yeah,
I
this
am
is a
familiar
drawing.
with this. That is the famous artwork that people, saw. Because it was, I think when they did see it in this like little spot, it was scared. And that's.
that was a thing. They said they didn't talk to it or anything, but all three of the girls just somehow knew that it was scared.
Yeah.
Like in their heads, they knew it was in pain, needed help, and was scared, and then they just ran away.
Maybe the thing ran out of gas. Up in space. He's like, flying through the Milky Way or whatever the hell, and he's like, I got to crash land on Earth.
Yeah.
And now he got taken by the Brazilian government. Probably dead now. And
Well, taken by the Brazilian government, but then supposedly
then the
been
US
taken by the U.S.
Yeah. Which we probably have a boatload of alien things and somewhere.
What if all the aliens they're capturing are just like our superhuman experiments
Like
that got loose? Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, but how do you explain the UFO thing then? You think?
I mean, those could be ours too.
I have a feeling it's not. I would say it's not. Especially with like the hearing that they did like last year,
Yeah, because the government always tells the truth.
No, that's true. I think they're just trying to get us used to the idea of like other things, because most of the population will probably go insane if they found out like another species like us existed.
I mean, for most of human history, we've hated other humans that look different than
Right.
us. We're still the same
And to think
species.
something more advanced out there than us, that would make so many people, I don't know, like uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't know how many UFO sightings are real, but I think the governments of the world together, they have some stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, without a doubt. Whether it's real stuff or if it's just fake stuff that they confiscated anyway.
Yeah.
They're taking this stuff for a reason. Whether it's foreign militaries, whatever. Just them being interested in this stuff. I mean, tells you they're looking into the stuff. So
We'll get more information. There was going to be another disclosure thing going on in the government, but I guess Rand Paul kind of was like a person that stopped it from happening this October. So we won't get that. Yeah. Thanks, Rand Paul. That's a name, right? The curly hair guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
One of them.
One of them.
one of them. Well, I don't really have too much more on Vargine.
I'll keep everyone updated. I'm the UFO guy. I'm on the subreddits, UFO and aliens and all that.
Okay.
I look at it like daily.
Yeah,
So.
I'm not huge into conspiracy theories, just because they're interesting, but it's also, I feel like every conspiracy theory eventually they just all end up to the same rabbit holes. Like, if a lot of people that are really into conspiracy theories, they just believe them all and then try to tie them all together. And it's like, yeah, you have to, if you're going to entertain a conspiracy theory, you have to accept that 99% of the time they're not true. If you can fill in all the pieces, then
Yeah.
maybe you got something.
You should start with it that it's false and then try to prove that it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's always concerning that like that 1% of when something is real, that like the conspiracy theory is true. But I do agree with you.
Yeah, because I mean, you can go into, people will be like, well, people built walls that looked very similar in South America and in Egypt.
Pyramids.
So they have similar polygonal walls made out of stones. You're telling me people living 10,000 miles apart from each other on opposite sides of the world, probably more miles than that, I don't know.
Yeah.
That they both know how to build walls the same? What are the chances of that happening over the course of 15,000 years? People learn how to build walls? That's impossible. Obviously.
I mean, I just researched masonry. Okay.
Obviously, transatlantic travel
was a thing.
Was a thing 15 million years ago. When humans didn't exist.
It's actually a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Tectonic plates, not real.
Yeah, because I was trying to do research today, and I ended up down this rabbit hole.
Oh no!
That I was watching this YouTube video, and this guy was comparing walls, in Peru to walls in Egypt and Japan, and he's like, one, the hieroglyphs in Peru and in Egypt, they both depicted people holding purses. It's like, wow, you're telling me two civilizations with no connection both had bags? And they both drew them on hieroglyphs?
The question is, though,
how could they both know what a bag is?
No, the question is, are they Gucci or Prada? That is the question here.
Are they name brand?
Yeah.
And the problem with that is there's like all those connections they're making, but then in that video where this guy was just trying to make crazy connections, there were some actual decent points he made, but it's surrounded by all the crazy stuff that it's like, I don't know, man. Yeah, it is weird that there's statues that look very similar to the Easter Island statues in Peru, but they had no contact. That is weird. And they do have the same walls. That is weird. But you telling me that there's a wall in Peru that has the same kind of knobs sticking out that were obviously just masonry markers, but you're trying to make a whole connection here. That because there's the same bumps in Egypt, they obviously had contact 15,000 years ago. It's like you're just pulling at strings.
Yeah, no. You can't go full ancient aliens sometimes. It's tough. It's tough to weed out the nonsense with like the...
It is. It's a thin line to walk with.
I want my conspiracy theories to make sense, man.
Yeah, if your conspiracy theory doesn't make sense, then you've already lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the CIA definitely didn't kill MLK, right?
Wait a minute.
Or JFK.
What?
It was the lizard people. The lizard people did it.
From the Hollow Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob, I believe you have notes.
Yeah,
I do have notes, but we've gone so far off the deep end right now.
well, that is how you know that the CIA wasn't behind Trump's assassination, right?
I came to talk about aliens, which I guess if we're talking about Trump's political stances, you talk a lot about aliens.
Oh, yeah.
And walls. Honestly, this is basically a Trump pod right now.
Maybe he's trying to tell us something. The wall on the southern border is made by the same civilization as the
There's
pyramids.
probably some purses there too.
Oh my
There we go.
God.
All right.
Yeah.
There's got to
Come
be
together.
knobs. There's got to be knobs on that
Oh,
wall.
there's some knobs on that wall for sure. Polygonal rocks. That's advanced masonry right there.
I don't know about those. I mean, it's like a desert down there. Now you're
Okay.
pulling at strings.
The Incans and the Cambodians, very similar pyramids,
Don't get me started.
All right. Boys.
Okay, let's get to Jacob's UFO notes.
Oh, it's not UFO notes. It's aliens and life.
Scientifical alien facts.
Yeah. Okay. Well, facts. It's more so. So everyone here believes that aliens do exist in some form.
Yep.
Yes.
Big or small.
Big or small. Okay. So, I guess let's see how I want to do this now. I don't know why I was expecting someone to be like, no, it's just us.
Now the moon landing.
We could talk about it.
We can talk about
How about the moon Nazis? There we go. On the dark side of the moon.
If there are moon Nazis, there's probably some knobs up there. So,
some bags.
All right. Turns out the Gdaka is there actually. Okay. So, okay, boys.
You are the teacher.
I am the teacher. Trying to figure out how I want to do this. So, everyone said yes. So that goes off of my second point. There's something called the Fermi paradox. It was basically put out there by Enrico Fermi, who was a physicist, I believe. I know I'm 90% sure he worked on the Manhattan Project. Does anyone know the Fermi paradox?
I've heard of it.
it's familiar, but
Refresh me.
It basically boils down to if intelligent, like extraterrestrial life is so common in the universe, then where is everyone? And Enrico Fermi said it best of either we are alone in the universe or we are not. And both are equally terrifying. Of like, you don't know what that life, if it is there, would be, which I want to get into. What would life be? But to figure out like the whole paradox of like, we haven't met anyone. So is there anyone? There's something called the Drake equation, which is a whole lot of nerd talk, and I absolutely love it. Do we know what the Drake equation is?
no.
All right. So it was formulated by an astronomer. His name was Frank Drake. And it was basically an attempt to estimate the number of technologically advanced civilizations that might exist in our galaxy. and it was you basically multiplied. I'm just gonna read this straight for you because it's so much nerdism. You basically multiply the rate of star formation in the galaxy, the fraction of those that have planets, the number of planets in that solar system that could support life, the ones of those that actually develop life, and then that life develops into intelligent species, and then the fraction of those civilizations that develop detectable technologies like radio signals, and then the length of time that such civilizations can communicate before they become extinct or become undetectable. And it's this whole thing of like, unless we go to another world and like actually see them, we're going to have to basically find aliens by what they put out into the universe. So like through radio signals, or I believe we sent the Voyager spacecrafts into interstellar space. So like that'd be someone picking up one of those. I think actually Star Trek did a movie on that.
They did.
Where exactly like V'ger is like what it turned into. Sorry, spoiler alerts for a film from the 70s or the 80s. My apologies. Or like,
well,
yeah, that
there's actually a really good, like the best episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. One of them is like a probe that a civilization sent out, and Picard, you know, the Enterprise interacts with it, and it pretty much downloads the entire civilization's history onto the ship, and Patrick Stewart goes into like a coma, and he lives through the entire life and existence of being a citizen in that civilization, and then it just ends, like, and he wakes up and he's back on the ship, and he lived an entire lifetime as like another civilization because they just downloaded their history into a satellite that they launched.
That's pretty sweet.
dang. All right,
I gotta watch Star Trek.
Star Trek: The Next Generation, really good, just sci-fi nerd show.
Okay, yeah. I got burned out on Next Gen, so I'll have to try that. I was an original series guy.
Next Gen's worth giving a chance.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to try it. I've watched some of it, like a season or two, but I was watching it with a girlfriend.
Yeah, there's some really bad like stuff that did not age well in Next Generation. But like once you get really the first season's a little slow, but after that it's like it's really good. And I appreciate Star Trek's attempt at like space democracy.
Oh, where it's like well, that's you mean like with the Federation?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You mean with diplomacy and stuff like that? Yeah, because it's also really interesting to see how the Federation is this supposedly a utopian society where there's no such thing as food shortages anymore, and I don't really think currency is used that much within the Federation. Like it's mainly used as a trade thing with like, especially like is it the Trade Federation?
Yes.
Yes, it's literally called
yeah.
Where like I'm getting
Star
Babylon
Wars.
5 and Star Trek mixed in my head right now, and it's irritating me so much. The Ferengi.
Ferengi.
Yes,
Yeah.
which are like very, very capitalistic, and while the Federation is very much not, and you can definitely see the commentary on economics in that. But back to my aliens.
Wow, I love this.
Yes. So the whole thing with the Drake equation is, basically you're multiplying all of these things, and a lot of them are fractions and not whole numbers. So like as that happens, you start to get a number that could be really, really small. But the fact of the matter is so many of these factors, we just have no idea what they are. They're unknown. You're speculating, you're shooting from the hip. So you're led to a wide range of answers, basically from us being alone to there being millions of civilizations out there. And we frankly don't know, which is a terrifying, horrifying thought to me.
Well, and the craziest thing too is like we sent Voyager out. We've sent a couple other things that are, potential contact points. But the crazier thing to think about is any number of civilizations could have sent those exact same things. They could have went straight past our planet and we could have been able to pick them up. But it was like 500 AD. And it's 1500 years until we know how to detect it yet.
Yeah, that is another perfect thing of like we were first sending our radio signals into space in the 30s. So that's when we first had radios that were strong enough to actually escape our atmosphere. So yeah, so you're entirely right. Like our whole how do you say it?
Astrological footprint.
Yeah, is
as a
so
society.
minuscule. Yeah, especially as one that can project and receive interstellar signals.
And that's assuming the civilizations use the same ways to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're going by our own like knowledge of how we started, who's to say like what are the chances that the same starting points for another civilization started the exact same way as us? Like they would have to be the same exact time frame that we're at.
Yes.
Like the other planet would have had to hit Earth while it was forming. The moon would have had to be the exact size to be the same.
Okay. Yeah, so exactly. These are some possible explanations for the Fermi paradox of like, are we alone? Are we not? But we haven't talked to anyone. Like one thing is like the rare Earth hypothesis, where it's our planet is in something we call the Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, which means not too close to the sun. Not too cold, that means it's too far away. So if a planet is too close to its sun, the water boils off. And if it's too far away from the sun, the water freezes. And there are some exoplanets, like planets that are not in our solar system, that we have seen in the Goldilocks zone that we can tell based on how the light shift hits them, like as they go in front of their sun. So like one of them's Kepler 186f, which I can't even for the life of me right now remember where it is. And I really wish that would have been on camera because Mr. Biggs just scaled Anthony's chair.
That was actually really impressive.
Yeah, I really wish that was on camera.
I can't believe it. Just barely off.
Just barely
off camera.
All right.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and he's gonna stay there. So
he has some opinion he wants to share, I think.
There was a tail in there.
Yeah, so that's another thing. And exactly.
Very insightful, Biggs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly. And you said sorry, I'll let Biggs talk.
He doesn't want to.
Oh, okay.
He's done.
All right. He said his piece.
Thank you, Biggs.
There we go. You said about having civilizations form at the same time. That's another thing because I believe we're about in the middle of our galaxy. So closer towards the center, you have stars that have been alive for billion more years, like billions not upon billions, but like anywhere from, a couple 100 million to a couple billion years older than our star that could be in a different stage of stellar life, but also for the species that could inhabit them, they could be in a different plane of existence if you wish to believe in that, like ascending or whatever you want to call it.
Fourth dimension.
Yeah. Or they could have, because these are also some concerns of like technological self-destruction of there's an idea that civilizations, especially because we only know ours and humans are incredibly destructive and self-destructive, that civilizations can just destroy themselves through war or environmental collapse after becoming advanced enough to explore like the galaxy or communicate, and they're basically dead civilizations. So they're not producing signals anymore, so you can't find them anymore. There's also an argument that like we're one of the first. Maybe something didn't happen in the like closer part of the galaxy. Maybe we're one of the first, for whatever reasons, species to evolve to the point of we can question like what's around us. So we'll become one of the old civilizations, the ancients, the forerunners, if you will. we will create the flood, ladies and gentlemen. So that was just a couple things I was thinking of about that I figured it would be interesting. Boys, any
Yeah, I think those are all really good points, and I think it's interesting that sort of very shortly after we started sending radio waves, that were able to be picked up, is when Roswell and a lot of the other,
Hmm.
The decades following us heavily using radio waves and attempting to
Nuclear
reach
bombs too.
the atmosphere.
Post World War II, basically,
Yeah.
is like the start of the UFO boom.
Yeah, it's like as soon as nukes were dropped, all of a sudden aliens are a question mark.
I like that correlation. I'm not sure if it's a causation, but that's definitely an interesting correlation there.
Yeah, and is it? There's a lot of possibilities as to what could correlate that. After the world wars, nukes are a thing. Are people just paying more attention to things above them?
Well, because then you have the
Cold War.
Yeah, you have the space race where we're looking towards the stars. Yeah,
that's true.
There's a lot more commercial planes.
Yeah, exactly. You're worried about You just have. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh no, you're
but
good.
Exactly, you have commercial flights, and then in the 50s, the big concern was for nukes. Nukes were delivered by strategic bombers, so that's what you were looking for. You were looking at flights of bombers in the sky. So you were always looking up, worried. For us, at least as Americans, you were worried about the Soviets being there.
Yep.
But one thing I thought was interesting, you're talking about life. Although I do remember we vaguely talked about. I'm not sure if it got in the pod or not, but we were talking about Bigfoot before, and there was a conspiracy theory or an idea that I had that I read, that basically Bigfoot is an alien that is like a biological researcher, that it's like a zoologist or a biologist that's in the wild, almost like we'd have in the Serengeti, in the savannah, that is watching us, observing us as the specimen or the research object.
Yeah, I think that's that's a really funny way to think of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It's a big hairy guy, but then when you're not looking, he's just pulling out a notepad, taking notes.
I mean, it's just like if you think about an ant colony too, like us looking at an ant colony, we're like, oh, they're just ants, but like, do they even notice? Like, they don't even know what a highway is.
Yeah,
like they just cross it. They don't know.
That's a perfect thing of like talking about the difference in like the stellar life of a civilization, or the technological differences, is if you accidentally knock over an ant colony, do you go down to them and say, I'm so sorry, guys, let me help you fix this? If you step on an ant, do you feel remorse? I know as a kid, I definitely used a magnifying glass on an anthill or two. Like, could you imagine if that happened to us? Like, if someone was just like, all right, you know what? Or like, have you guys read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or watched the movie?
I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because it's actually really close to the book. But like, they destroyed Earth to do an interstellar bypass, to build a highway. And they were like, I don't know why you're complaining. We had the plans in Alpha Centauri, like 14 light years for like 50 years. This is a you problem, not an us problem. So that exactly shows how exactly you can have that difference in technological advancement, or just age and like superiority and things like that.
Yeah. I don't know why, but talking about ants, I was just thinking, because in the perspective of an ant, we're like a godlike presence,
There you go.
And
boosting your ego.
And for some reason, I was just thinking of like a spider. Like if a spider bites you, right? That's a Herculean task that spider is doing, Even if it's a tarantula, I mean, compared to you, I mean,
yeah, we are like a titan.
Or it's like scorpions will like kill large animals. It's like that's just something they're like, yeah, that giant horse, I can kill that.
Yeah.
Easy. Just stab it once.
That's a Chihuahua mentality. I like it. Yeah. One thing I was thinking of when we were talking about like exoplanets is also there could be life in our solar system that is extraterrestrial, not from Earth.
Yes.
Like, I think Europa is one of the best candidates. It's a moon of Jupiter, and it's frozen. Like it's an ice ball because it's like way out past the Kuiper Belt. You know, it's a moon of Jupiter, so it's one of the last things before you get into interstellar space, basically. And
Before you hit everyone's planet, Pluto.
Dwarf planet, yeah. Well, I mean, you still have Neptune. You have that. You have Ceres out in the belt, but that's actually in the Kuiper Belt, so that's more.
Yeah, Ceres is really
the Kuiper Belt.
There.
Where's all right? No, because Kuiper Belt separates it. Yeah, Oort cloud is what is the big thing. Sorry, Kuiper Belt separates the inner planets from the outer planets. What were you saying?
I was just saying Ceres is really out there.
Yeah, I think I don't think Ceres is like past us, in between us and Saturn, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with Europa, you know, it's a frozen ice ball. And, you know, if ice cracks, can it fix itself? Like if you like step on a lake, or not a lake, I guess that's a bad thing. If you step on a sheet of ice and it cracks, can it fix itself?
If I had to guess.
Well, it would have to remelt.
Yeah.
If it melts.
Like if you step on a lake and you crack the ice on the lake, does it fix itself?
I don't think so. It would have to melt.
Yeah, they'd have to get more water somehow.
In between the crack, yeah.
Yeah, but like for like a lake, like let's say like your foot goes through it and like it cracks.
Unless unless there's a new liquid to refreeze.
So like that happens on lakes, you know, like it'll refreeze, it'll fix itself. That's happening on Europa. There's cracks in the ice that they'll like have a picture of it, and then like I'm not sure if it's a couple months or a couple years later, the cracks aren't there anymore, and you can see new ice there.
So they know there's some kind of liquid there.
Exactly, it's liquid. It should be liquid water based on the vapors coming off of the planet, because it's a small, you know, it's a moon, but it's very geologically active because of Jupiter's mass is like pushing and pulling it so much.
Its core.
Yeah, that it keeps the water liquid, at least to some point underneath that. So there could be water-based life, like carbon-based, which is what we usually think of.
Yeah.
Life. It's entirely possible for it to be on Europa. Like we were talking earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if there was microbial life at the very least on Europa, just because they're, you know, look at the Arctic, look at things that we're still finding deep in the depths of the ocean that can live in these what we think are like very difficult ecosystems to live in.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Arctic, Antarctica could be like a whole 10 episodes worth of conspiracy theories. And,
oh yeah, the list goes on for Antarctica.
I mean, Antarctica's an entire other thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think without a doubt there is some kind of microorganism alive in the universe. I have no doubt about that. Will we ever be in contact with something if we haven't been already? Probably not in our lifetime if it hasn't already happened.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is why a lot of people try to tie aliens into like ancient civilizations, because the idea that they've only appeared after World War II, you know, seems unlikely. But if you can say, well, they've been here for 20,000 years with us the whole time, that they've always sort of known about us, and now they're just interested again, it adds a lot more credibility to the fact that they exist.
Mm-hmm. If there is intelligent life that is older than us, I would not, and they have found us, I would not be surprised if there has been like a research presence or something I was talking about of like
watching
a biologist.
us.
Exactly. Or the fact of like, we could, you know, we're talking about how we haven't come in contact with other civilizations, We could almost be in a nature preserve of like we want to see what these monkeys do.
Well, and that's a big thing is like
we are in a terrarium.
People try to act like, well,
we're one of those balls, like those eco. What are those balls called? Eco spears.
Nope. I don't know. I just made that up completely.
No, the ones that you can have like the krill in with the coral and the algae, and like you can have your own little. I think an ecosphere or something like that.
Probably that. Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds right.
No,
we're not in a snow globe, Mark.
Well, I mean, we could.
I mean, have you guys seen Krampus?
No.
All right, we're watching Krampus. It is a Christmas horror movie because the snow globe reminded me. Anyways, continue, sir.
A lot of people try to tie ancient gods and religions to possible alien presences.
I mean, that's the entire plot of Stargate.
It is the entire plot of Stargate. And you know, Egypt's an easy one. They're like pyramids. How are they built? I will say when you have an unlimited amount of slaves, you can sort of build whatever you want, and it doesn't really matter if it's necessarily impossible, because what are your slaves gonna do about it?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the pyramids, I don't think they were built by aliens. I can see why people think they were, but I think it's just really powerful people wanted some pyramids.
I like to believe they were.
I
think it's a fun theory.
It makes it a lot cooler to think they
does.
are.
Well,
I just
so cute.
The weird thing about it is the insides of the pyramid, because when we were like taught that they were like burials, yeah, but it turns out they're not.
I will say I don't know how factual any of the like scans and stuff of underneath the pyramids are.
Yeah.
You know, supposedly everything connects together to all the other pyramids, and there's a whole, secret tunnel system underneath the sand.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and
but like
the Sphinx is actually, 300 feet tall.
Here's the historian in me.
Maybe.
It is so hard to understand how another society views things, like especially when you're separated for thousands of years, of things that like make sense to us will not make sense to our successors. I mean, literally, people are, kids now are talking about on like an iPhone, the app for a phone, is the receiver from a landline, that like a wall phone. That if we have older viewers, that's going to make them unhappy. But the wall phone as opposed to like the car phone. And hold on, we got a track of, it just, what would make sense for a pyramid or like how it's laid out made like perfect sense to the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians. Does not make sense to us. Like there's so many things of, imagine just like walking into a room somewhere and like looking at the artifacts and like go 1,000, 2,000 years later and be like, how does this make sense? Like exactly like your Roswell shirt, like
that's true.
Your Pennsylvania Roswell shirt, or I don't know why it's in my head of Harambe. we're gonna get into this.
I mean,
like the phrase "dicks out for Harambe." Think about of like if you had that like 2,000 years later and you are like unearthing like a shirt or like a mug or something like that, and it says that, or like they've written it down. As a historian, as an archaeologist, you're like, they obviously have a deep veneration, a belief in this gorilla, this apex being.
He was a god to them.
He was a god that like they must bear their genitalia for him. And, it's like when you start looking at things, I'm like, we just think it's a joke. And like people will take it like entirely in a different direction.
You don't even have to go back or like go forward in time. You could even just go like to a different part of the world, with the Romans and the Egyptians, not too far off, but they have different architecture.
Mm-hmm.
They're living a whole different way. I mean, that alone says like they're
Well,
just doing
and
their own thing.
speaking about Egyptians and Romans, you know, they hated each other for a while, and a lot of it was literally just like the Romans hated that the Egyptians had multiple gods, and some of them were based on animals. They're like, the fucking Egyptians are praying to dogs. The fucking idiots over there, like, and their reasoning, like, there's actual, his now is taken as historical text, but there's a lot of stuff that maybe did get preserved, and we can look at this information, be like, yeah, someone wrote this at the time, but people still had satire during the Roman Empire. Egyptians had satire. Everyone's had humor.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no guarantee that this, historical document of any time period that, you don't have much else to compare to, there's a chance, the only book surviving 10,000 years from right now is like a Reader's Digest that's sitting on the back of someone's toilet that just has like poop jokes. And it's like 10,000 years from now, they're like, yeah, society collapsed, but they really loved feces.
This is shit was still funny.
It's the epitome of our
Everyone lives
generation.
through memes.
Yeah.
And it's like historical artifacts in themselves, the chance they're in the exact location that they can survive 1,000 or 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 years, for them to be in that exact spot, that exact time.
I mean, all of our
And then-
historical records are digital. So, like, in the future, if they don't know how to read the digital copies of our
Or
our
if the digital
records.
copies fail.
Yeah.
I mean, a hard drive is not surviving 5,000 years.
Yeah. But even with digital copies, you have what's called survivorship bias of people save things that they think are important, or that sometimes it's just lucky. So, like that's one thing for Egypt and for Rome, that we have a lot of accounts of nobility, of the emperors, of the kings, of
But we
the
don't
pharaohs.
know about any of the people.
Yes, there's not as many accounts for the daily people of those ancient civilizations because historians did not think it important. So I would be really intrigued in 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years what historians are going to be like, God damn it. Why didn't they write more? I don't even know what to pull out. But like, why didn't they write more about, I can't even pull something out right now on my ass. Anyways,
How the Browns can't pick a quarterback.
Oh, we're not going there. Oh, I will. Exactly. I really wish they would have wrote more. There we go. More about why the fact that you have this sport where you're basically playing war, where you have a line of soldiers, line of people, they hit each other. And like, why do they venerate war so much in this sport where they pay people millions of dollars? I wish there was more literature on that. And I think it'll be really interesting. I mean, we'll be dead, hopefully. I mean, sweet Jesus, if I live 1,000, 2,000 years, that's 1,000, 2,000 years too long, in my opinion. I mean, anything's too long at this point. But it'll be really interesting to see what is looked up to from our societies and what they wish we left more of behind. Like what are they interested in? What are they looking at? Kind of.
Yeah, because history in itself is just.
Well, I mean,
we don't actually know any of our history. We think we know our history.
Sure. Well, literally, look at the word. It's 2 words.
His story.
His story. Yeah. Same thing in German. Geschichte.
Yeah.
It means story. or history, depending on the context. So it could be a fictional story or it could be a historical account. You don't know until you get context.
Yeah. And I mean, we don't really even know that any of our history ever is true. I mean, someone can say it's true, and then, especially like the Library of Alexandria burning down. Who knows what was lost in there? And then all of a sudden, like I was saying with the poor example of, this Roman writer, judging the Egyptians for, worshiping dogs and women.
How dare they?
When really he could be legitimately mad about that, or it's just satire that he put out to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's your only reference point if that's the only text you have from the entire Roman Empire about another civilization, you're like, well, I guess they were just bigots, but I don't have anything else about it. And then all of a sudden, that's the only historical context you have between those civilizations. Obviously, that's not true in regard to Rome and Egypt, but when you get to smaller civilizations, not every city is Pompeii, where everything's perfectly preserved underneath ash. Most civilizations, especially anywhere that's been like historically flooded, all of that information's gone. I mean, anything before ice ages, a lot of that's just destroyed. And the little pieces that are there, well, it's just a small piece.
Yeah. Well, and for prehistoric history, like, that's like pre-writing, pre-civilization. The fact of the matter is, we've really gone off of aliens, by the way, guys. But I'm proud of us here.
Somehow we divulged.
This is like Pryor would be so proud of you right now. This is cosmic history right here.
Yes.
The fact of the matter with that is that's one of the things that makes prehistoric research so hard, is that you're just not making things. That like society, you don't have foundries, you don't have factories, you don't have metalworking. It's bone, it's wood, it's leather, it's things that are easily biodegradable. You have rocks. Like honestly, that's a lot of our stuff that we found that isn't preserved in like a mudslide or a peat bog or stuff like that is either things made of bone, things made of stone, or we'll get lucky and it's like literally in a cave or somewhere that can be really well preserved. So that is one issue with prehistoric findings. Of one, they didn't produce a lot, and two, a lot of the things they did use to make tools and clothes and whatever was organic in nature.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have, you might find a crude copper tool, but you really just have a piece of copper that's really worn down because the handle's gone.
Exactly, but that's not prehistoric.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's like 2,000 or 3,000 years old.
Yeah, that's Bronze Age.
Mm-hmm.
Although, like,
it's actually Copper Age. If
copper,
it's made
yeah,
of copper,
no, prehistoric stuff.
I mean, they still made copper things in this.
Don't help him. Come on, that was funny. Let me live in my
prehistoric. Is really interesting because there's not much of it at all.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
no.
You might get lucky and a skier finds a fully preserved body in ice.
Oh my God, Utsi. I need to go see that, man.
With some broken ankles.
I don't know why I never went to go see him when I lived in Austria, because he was
He's
literally like a couple of hours away.
Yeah.
So I think when I go back, I'll have to go see him. But I remember him being in our books in, what was it, like Krieger's class?
Yeah.
Sorry, like middle school or something.
It was like 7th or 8th grade. We were learning about him.
Yeah.
It's actually super cool.
Of like, again, something we got entirely lucky. He was up in the mountains and froze. Did he freeze to death?
Yeah, he froze to death.
Yeah. And I know he had like some injuries and things too. And like that was like such a perfect way of preserving that body. And that's something that's so rare in the historical record.
Yeah.
Especially for I'm not sure if he was Neolithic or Paleolithic, but he was a Stone Age man.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think
correct. Was he a Stone Age man?
I think he might have.
Or was he like early bronze? O E T Z I E, something like that. Let's see. Because he has an umlaut, but Copper Age.
We found him, but then we ended up finding somebody else like later on, right? Like
there was a lady.
Like during when we were in school, they found like a lady. Yeah, yeah. It was I don't know the name, but we did find a lady.
Okay, so there you go. There's your Copper Age man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And how long ago was that, Anthony? No, not
1991.
No.
Wow.
Really
they found him.
I absolutely love you. But I know as soon as I asked that, I knew what number you were going to go for. Both of you guys, what number do you think I was asking?
When he was around.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well,
Owen's like 1991 with the cassettes and the floppy disks. This man is in the mountains.
Yeah, that's a Copper Age.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when.
I mean, that's basically the Stone Age for us. But okay, so like 33 to 3100. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. So that was 5,000 years ago now.
Close to the same area. I don't know the site, but there's like this lake somewhere near the Austria area.
The Austria area.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Europe.
All right. Something that's like half the size of Ohio. In that vague area.
Yeah, the
somewhere,
vague
maybe.
area of Eastern to Western Europe.
So Europe.
Europe.
I don't remember anything about this, but there was this lake that they were like they found tons, like thousands of human remains at the bottom of it.
Okay.
Mm.
Jeeves, you want to pull it up?
I
wanna
doubt
know
he's going
about
to be
the
able to
human
find
sacrifice
it
lake.
from me just referencing it, but the thought was that it was like a heritage site, like heritage burial site.
Okay. What's with the cocaine?
Hmm.
Oh, by the way, for my two boys, do we have any last minute roster changes? We have 4 minutes until kickoff.
I have no one playing tonight, so I'm
Okay.
good.
Okay. I'm not in it.
I
Yeah,
know.
this might be. Maybe it's the cocaine. Yeah, the bog bodies. That's
Is that actually it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe
Those are
not.
the
Well,
ads.
bog bodies is actually a different thing, probably because bogs are just soft land that you can. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's swamp quicksand.
Yeah.
Bogs will kill you.
As evidence points to right here. Yeah.
What's our recording time at, Anthony?
We could, if you want to wrap up, we can wrap up.
Might be a good idea.
We probably.
I mean, we're
we
pretty-
really went in.
Yeah, we're
This
pretty.
is-
We
Yeah.
went off topic a couple times,
Yeah,
mostly because of me.
I love talking history with you boys, and I'd love to have a history pod.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
this was definitely supposed to be. I thought it was Alien, the movie and the franchise, and
Yeah,
then Aliens.
we didn't get to Alien.
No, we completely ignored one of the best movies from like, what was it, 1979?
We'll get
Jeeves.
to it.
Well, some week coming up, not guaranteeing next week, we'll talk
There's
about
no
Alien.
guarantees with this group.
And at some point, we're gonna talk about some ancient civilizations. It's got to happen.
History.
And not tie them to aliens.
Or Nazis.
But no, there's a lot of really cool, just history out there, and
Mhm.
I mean, I
Yeah.
could talk about it forever. I know Jacob could.
Oh, 110%.
And we're gonna have to get into some just nerd rants about history, coming up here soon.
I'll do some research. I love history. It's my favorite
Will
topic.
you do
but
actual research, or will you do like
He'll come with an
12-year-old
AI
girl
Prezi.
Prezis that AI made for you
I
5
think
years ago?
I think the people appreciate both lines of
They need
research.
they need the dumbed down version.
Yeah.
They need the middle school girl Prezis.
They need my.
I don't have an
Yeah.
issue of it being at a middle school level. I have an issue that AI made it for you.
He's not in school.
I'm
He's
not
not
getting
a
great
student.
on this.
Hey,
Yes, you are. What do you think I've been marking over here? This is my grade book.
What did I get? What did you grade me?
well, I think this is a great opportunity to maybe utilize the poll feature on YouTube.
Oh,
So we'll put a grading scale out for Mark,
Oh, there we go.
and the viewers, you guys can vote on how well he did for his presentation.
Okay, so hold on, because tell you what, I'm going to give him a grade, and I want to see how it matches compared to the people. But what is the criteria? What are we grading? Are we just grading the Prezi, his delivery of the Prezi,
oh man.
I think you got
the gifts?
Substance.
substance,
Okay.
How informative it is. That's the substance.
Yeah.
Substance. Okay. Delivery.
delivery,
Yeah.
/ performance. Yeah.
Yeah. Roll for performance.
I think we gotta do the images / videos.
Oh yeah.
We gotta grade those.
Like media.
Yeah.
Media.
Okay.
And then I think you got to put one in there for sources.
That's an F.
He's a first-hand source.
Because there was I
Oh.
didn't see a works cited
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah. Where's the Chicago or APA formatting here, sir?
I mean, I would even take an MLA.
oh my God. Don't
Can you
even
do
get
that
me
in a PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done it.
If you're making a PowerPoint for an actual class, you should have a works cited.
You do need to work.
Well, I
cited.
know I've works cited, but like
Like in
You
like
MLA
actual
format.
just like
Can you have
MLA and,
APA formatted
no, you should do
slideshow.
Chicago where you got the little numbers, and then you can either put it in the notes or put it at the bottom of the slide.
I just want to say
It's
for the
usually
folks,
for pictures in a presentation, because the hope is you're presenting your own research.
for those that are gonna rate me or whatever, grade me,
Raid you?
rate me.
What?
Rate me. Rate.
You need to enunciate, please, for the
Hey-
love of all that is
Hey,
holy.
Mark.
Rate. Rate me. Guys.
Well, if you are listening and you want to rate Mark, you know, we'll have the chain out. We'll sit him next to the radiator, and you can leave your rating.
Okay.
We'll put the poll up. Let us know how you rate him, and please rate his presentation
As well.
and not. We don't need a review on him.
Just
Yeah, that's
Just
already an F. We
take
got
into
that.
consideration that my information was at least digestible.
Was I
Are you
personally?
attacking me and my information?
what are we?
No.
Are they all equal parts, or are we like weighting certain things?
Well, I was thinking we'd give like A, B, C, D.
Well, yeah, but like if we're grading it, we can't do it for everything, like every single thing. Like it has to be one overall grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
So, like, how are they weighted? Is what you're
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
I think all the categories, the individual voter, you'll have to figure out what's most important. You'll have to figure out your own scaling system.
So, all right, since this is the first time you guys are doing this, may I offer a suggestion?
You
Just have
can.
them all equal. Because then if they're rating it A through F,
Well, I
then you
forgot
can-
how many we had. So
We have 4.
okay,
Yeah, they're all
It's
equal.
more than 3, less than 5.
We'll put it up.
I know how numbers work.
I'm not so. You're an engineer. I'm not so sure. So I would say just weight them equally this time, and then we can go from there for the next time Mark gives a presentation.
On history.
So
Something historical.
Yeah, something historical.
I could do another Prezi for next time for history.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll make it better.
I'll make a Prezi as well. If next time Jacob's on, we'll talk ancient civilizations / I really want to talk about conquistadors. I'm putting it out there so that it happens.
The
But
bounty.
I just want to talk about conquistadors.
And then we can
Because
have
they're
our own
all-
drunk history too.
Yeah.
All the history around conquistadors.
If Owen's doing a Prezi, I may
Ugh.
need to be intoxicated.
We'll do conquistador history.
Here's the sneak peek about conquistadors. They're all lying fucking bitches.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
So with that, rate Mark.
Yes.
Peace.
Thanks for watching.
Bye, guys.
Check out our website.
Yeah. Socials.
Discord.
All that stuff.
Links.
Like and subscribe, please.
Like and subscribe.
Ding that notification bell.
Comment. First comment. They can rate Mark.
Bye.
Rate with a T.